Islamabad has suddenly become the focal point of a high-stakes diplomatic push that could reshape security calculations across the Middle East and send immediate tremors through global energy markets. Pakistani officials say they are facilitating contacts aimed at easing regional tensions as senior American and Iranian representatives converge in the capital for what is being portrayed as a rare top-level engagement. The talks come at a moment when the region is still on edge. Even where pauses in fighting have been announced, the underlying drivers of escalation remain unresolved and the risk of miscalculation is high. Iranian state-linked outlets are presenting Tehran's posture as uncompromising. According to reporting carried by Iranian media, Iranian negotiators have delivered a set of demands they describe as non-negotiable conditions for any broader understanding, demands that if taken at face value would amount to a dramatic reordering of power and access in one of the LD's most strategically sensitive waterways. At the center of Iran's stated conditions is the Strait of Hormuz, an exceptionally narrow maritime corridor connecting the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman and onward to the Arabian Sea. It is a choke point not simply because it is busy, but because it is irreplaceable in the short term. A significant share of the world's seaborne oil and liquefied natural gas passes through it, feeding refineries and power grids across Asia, Europe, and beyond. Any sustained disruption, whether from conflict, sabotage, or perceived risk, can produce immediate price spikes, insurance turmoil, and shipping delays that ripple far from the Gulf. Iran's first reported demand is framed as a claim of authority over that passage. Tehran, according to the same accounts, wants recognition of its power to control access to the strait and even to levy transit fees on global shipping. It is a position that would collide with long-standing international norms around freedom of navigation and would be fiercely resisted by many states that rely on the waterway, including major energy importers. The second demand described by Iranian outlets is for war reparations, full compensation from what Tehran calls the aggressor. The third is the unconditional release of Iranian assets that remain blocked abroad, a long-running point of contention in U.S.-Iran relations that has repeatedly surfaced in negotiations over sanctions relief, prisoner arrangements, and nuclear-era disputes. Then comes a condition with sweeping geopolitical implications, a full ceasefire in Lebanon. By tying any wider deal to de-escalation on multiple fronts, Iran appears to be signaling it will not isolate one theater of conflict from another. The message, as conveyed in Iranian reporting, is that Tehran sees the region's flashpoints as interconnected and that it intends to negotiate accordingly. For Washington, demands like these present a stark dilemma. Accepting them, even partially, could be viewed by allies as legitimizing Iranian leverage over a global maritime artery and rewarding coercive tactics. Rejecting them outright, however, risks stalemate at a time when the margin for error is thin and the cost of renewed confrontation could be immediate. Especially if shipping is threatened, Pakistan, for its part, is projecting itself as a facilitator and a venue. The Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has been visiting American officials in Islamabad as the diplomatic track gets underway. Pakistan's leadership is emphasizing its interest in stability and sustainable peace, a position that aligns with its own economic needs. Pakistan is navigating persistent financial pressures and cannot afford additional shocks from oil price volatility or broader regional instability. In a formal readout of one of those meetings, Pakistan's Prime Minister's office said, he said, as the Islamabad talks commenced today, the Prime Minister of Mohammad Shahbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, held a meeting with His Excellency J.D., Advanced Vice President of the United States of America. As the statement continued, he said the Prime Minister reiterated that Pakistan looks forward to continuing its facilitation of both sides in making progress towards sustainable peace in the region. But even as diplomats talk, a separate and potentially explosive complication has emerged, one that could undermine confidence, slow maritime traffic, and raise the risk of a disastrous accident. A report circulating in international media has suggested Iran may now be unable to fully restore safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz for a startling reason. It cannot locate all of the sea mines it is believed to have deployed during the height of the conflict. The claim has sent shockwaves through energy and security circles because it implies the threat to shipping may persist even if political leaders publicly commit to reopening the route. The logic is straightforward and alarming. Mines are not like missiles or drones that announce themselves. They can wait silently, drifting with currents, moving far from where they were initially placed. and remaining lethal long after the decision to deploy them has faded into the background. If a mine strikes a tanker or a naval vessel in the strait, the consequences would be immediate: loss of life, environmental catastrophe, shipping paralysis, and a rush by insurers and operators to reassess whether the route is navigable at all. The strait is not only a commercial corridor, but also a strategic arena where the presence of military forces, surveillance, and competing claims creates constant friction. If mines are unaccounted for, the waterway becomes unpredictable. Even if the channel is officially open, the perception of danger alone can slow traffic, force rerouting, and push shipping companies to demand higher premiums or refuse voyages altogether. Compounding the tension is political pressure from Washington. Former U.S. President Donald Trump, who is again the President of the United States, has publicly insisted that the strait will not remain closed and has warned Tehran to move quickly. In remarks captured on camera, he argued that economic self-interest would force Iran's hand. Asterisk, he said, yeah, but that'll open up automatically. Yeah, the answer is yes, but the strait will open up. If we just left, the strait's going to, otherwise they make no money. So the strait's going to open, but what we have is no nuclear weapon, but we'll open the strait anyway. Asterisk, he also stressed that the United States is not the primary user of the route, pointing to other nations' dependence and suggesting broader international involvement. Asterisk, he said, don't forget we don't use the strait. Other countries use the strait, so we do have other countries coming up and they'll help out, but we don't use it. It won't be easy. It won't be, I would say, we will have that open fairly soon. When asked about contingency planning if diplomacy fails, the president dismissed the need for a backup plan and described Iran's military as severely degraded. Asterisk, he said, you don't need a backup plan. We have the military is defeated. Their military is gone. We've degraded just about everything. They have very few missiles. They have very little manufacturing capability. We've hit them hard. Our military is amazing. The job they've done. Those statements underscore the widening gap between political messaging and operational reality. Even if leaders declare the strait open, shipping companies and insurers will make their own decisions based on risk. And risk in this case may be shaped not only by hostile intent, but by the possibility of weapons in the water that cannot be reliably tracked. According to the accounts now circulating, the mines were deployed using small boats, potentially in the immediate aftermath of strikes involving the United States and Israel. The suggestion is that the mine laying was either poorly documented or deliberately designed to create uncertainty, possibly by allowing mines to drift away from fixed coordinates. If that is true, it would mean the threat is not confined to a neat, predictable grid that can be quickly cleared. Clearing mines is painstaking work. It requires specialized vessels, trained divers, sonar sweeps, and lots of time. And in a narrow corridor with intense commercial traffic and heavy military presence, mine clearing is even more complicated. The process can be disrupted by weather, currents, and the constant movement of ships. A single missed device can undo weeks of progress because it only takes one explosion to convince the market that the route is unsafe. Iran, meanwhile, has signaled caution even while agreeing in principle to reopening. Iranian military-linked messaging has reportedly warned ships to avoid the main channel and consider alternative routes to reduce the risk of collision with hidden mines. That creates a paradox. The strait may be described as open, but functionally constrained. Longer routes, narrower safe corridors, and slower transits can all translate into supply delays and higher costs. For countries heavily dependent on Gulf energy, India among them, any sustained uncertainty in the Strait of Hormuz is not an abstract geopolitical problem. It is a direct economic threat. Refiners plan months ahead, power demand is seasonal and relentless, shipping schedules are tight. Even a temporary slowdown can force buyers to seek alternative supplies at higher prices, draining foreign exchange reserves and raising domestic fuel costs. Analysts also point to a deeper issue. There may be no purely military solution that guarantees the strait stays open if Iran decides to contest it. Naval forces can escort ships and attempt to clear mines, but they cannot eliminate risk entirely. In a confined space, asymmetric tactics, mines, drones, small boats, missiles can generate outsized effects. One security analyst put it bluntly in a televised interview, emphasizing that the final decision lies with Tehran and that the commercial world will respond to perceived danger as much as to official declarations. Asterisk, he said, the Strait of Hormuz will only open, if you will, if Iran wants it to. There's no military solution to this. There's no forcing it open because the asymmetries of the conflict are just so clear and so well known. Addison, he warned that even a robust international naval presence cannot guarantee safety if a single attack succeeds. Asterisk, he said, we can have ships in the Re, let's say, that we can cobble together this international coalition and get ships into the region, and these ships will do a good job, I'm sure, in defending against missiles or drones and clearing mines, perhaps. But it just needs one. It just needs one missile to get through, one drone, one mine to hit a hole, and that will send panic through everyone and take us back to the beginning. And he argued the real decision will be shaped by Iran's choices and the calculations of insurers and shipping executives. Asterisks, he said. And so this rests with Iran. And so, the ultimate decision about the openness and closeness of the Strait is less a military decision, is less a political decision. It's on our behalf, it's more Iran to have a think about, in essence, and decide what it wants to do. Adam, Islamabad, that is the reality hanging over the negotiating table. Diplomats can discuss ceasefires, assets, and frameworks for de-escalation. But if the Strait of Hormuz remains shadowed by uncertainty, whether because of deliberate threats or because mines cannot be found, then even the most carefully worded agreement may struggle to restore confidence, and confidence is the currency that matters most in global shipping. If operators believe the route is unsafe, they will slow down, reroute, or stop. If insurers believe the risk is unquantifiable, premiums will surge. If markets believe supply is in jeopardy, prices will jump. All of that can happen even without a single shot being fired, simply because of what might be waiting beneath the surface. As the talks continue, the question is no longer just whether a political deal can be reached. It is whether any deal can translate into practical, verifiable safety in the world's most critical energy corridor, and whether the parties involved can prevent a hidden weapon in the water from detonating a much wider crisis. Error calling GPT connection error.